The West Philippine Sea Newsletter, Volume 7. Philippines and China hold bilateral talks to de-escalate tensions. China conducts exercises in the West Philippine Sea, and the Philippines and Japan prepare for the 2+2 meeting. The events at the Second Thomas Shoal on June 17, 2024, are still the dominant topic in the West Philippine Sea after more than 2 weeks since the incident. Despite having the opportunity to do so, the Chinese have not attempted to arrest anyone they consider trespassers in the South China Sea. The Chinese conducted naval exercises in the West Philippine Seas, and the Philippines resupplied the Second Shoal. Japan and the Philippines held high-level talks on defense issues, as China is also flexing its naval muscles this week to intimidate Japan. There have been direct talks between both sides to de-escalate tensions in the regions, and both sides are at least taking steps to show their willingness to talk. There are two events that occurred over the past 2 weeks that demonstrate that both sides are showing that they are not backing down while also purposely avoiding an escalation. The first was when the People's Liberation Army Navy sent one of its aircraft carriers, the Shandong, into the West Philippine Sea, which is 230 miles from Luzon, 370 kilometers. The aircraft carrier's dispatch was a show of force and meant to send the message to the Philippines, but it was also operating in accordance with international maritime law. Rear Admiral Vincent Trinidad, a Philippine naval spokesman, was aware of the Chinese carrier and the other naval and Coast Guard ships operating in the West Philippine Sea, but said that it was not a concern because the Chinese actions were permissible under the law. The Philippine Coast Guard sent 3 44-meter multi-purpose ships on a resupply mission to the Second Shoal on July 1st to its garrison on the shoal. Reports also indicated that the resupply mission included construction supplies, a significant point of escalation with the Chinese government. Due to the successful completion of the resupply mission, the Chinese government lodged a protest with the Philippines on July 2nd, stating that the Philippines had violated China's sovereignty. Both incidents were opportunities to clash, especially in the Second Shoal. Both sides appear to be making conscious efforts to avoid an escalation. Several times this week, the Chinese Coast Guard sent vessels to the Japanese Senkaku Islands, which China claims as their own, and threatened Japanese fishermen. The Japanese Coast Guard ordered the Chinese vessels to leave, and they did so both times without incident. During the same week, while Japan and the Philippines were dealing with increased intimidation activities by the Chinese, the two sides met to discuss improving their defense agreements. On July 8th, Japan and the Philippines announced they would hold another round of talks to discuss common defense and security issues that are common on both countries. The primary goal of the meeting is to negotiate a reciprocal access agreement that would allow both countries' militaries to have expanded access to each other's territory. During the meetings, former Japanese Defense Minister Itsunori Onodera met with Philippine National Security Advisor Eduardo Ano, Defense Minister Gilberto Teodoro, and Foreign Secretary Enrique Manalo, and stated that Japan was committed and ready to provide assets needed for Philippine security. This includes Japan building a newer and larger Philippine Coast Guard ships to help it assert its sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. The Philippines and Japan have a direct interest in working together, as they both have an aggressive China that is making illegal claims to both countries' sovereignty. It is another demonstration that Chinese actions are forcing its adversaries to forge alliances, which is also part of the Philippines' overarching strategy to counter a much larger China. The apparent most significant event this week was the bilateral meeting between the Philippine and Chinese diplomats in Manila on July 2nd, with the incident of June 17th at the top of the agenda. The stated goal of the meeting was to take steps to de-escalate tensions in the region. Although the Philippines reported significant progress during the meeting, the Chinese side acknowledged that the two sides were still far apart on any agreement. The Philippines stated that despite progress, it would relentlessly protect its interests and sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. The Chinese side stated that the Philippines must immediately stop infringing on China's sovereignty and halt provocative acts. So, despite the talks, both sides are not backing off of their claims and has stated they will continue to talk through the issues. It's doubtful that China, under the current leadership, will give up its illegal claims in the South China Sea because it lusts after the resources in the regions for itself. The Philippines, with public and firm support from the United States and Japan, will not allow China to intimidate into giving up its sovereign rights. The talks between the two are a positive sign, but it's highly doubtful that they will make any difference in the long run. They may take a break to avoid another June 17th type incident, though. The Chinese will continue to exert pressure and hope to change a change in the political situation in the Philippines. To this end, the Philippines must remain vigilant against any subversive methods. Additionally, the Philippines will continue to utilize the media to draw attention to China's aggressive actions and illegal actions, and to encourage the formation of alliances to counterbalance China.